Okay. This is Noctis or Philanexus talking with Goatee, of course, like always. This is going to be the last from me for a while now, and possibly also from Goatee.
I'm gonna hang around to the end of the year, though. Probably 2020, probably December of this year, then 2021.
I will not
then
be
yeah.
appear on YouTube.
So this is the last. This is the last we're gonna hear from you. With me, you're lucky. You probably got like another month or two left of me, and then I gotta go and do some Aeonic shit.
Yes, and because of that, I hope that we could make a thorough scrutinization of the world as it is and how we should relate to it. We once did this 2 years ago, a very long discussion about the so-called New World Order, though it's not really new. And we felt such a discussion need to be repeated.
And some of our best conversations there, I think we had 3 or more videos, bare minimum, that got censored by the enemy. They got completely taken the fuck down. Especially that one about Islam in Sweden, the Liber 333, the clandestine burning, all that good shit and everything. It had pictures and all to it. It got taken the fuck down by the communist White Lodge scum that own YouTube, Google, Facebook, Vimeo, all that. So free speech is much harder to come by now than it was before. All I gotta say is, to those of you listening, if you're not having a channel yet, what the fuck you're doing? Make a channel and make backups of backups. Like have at least like maybe 3 or 4 layers of backups, because you'll never know when they'll get you for wrongthink. Build your own website. Try to build your own website, blogs, whatever. Have at least 3 of them minimum, because if one goes down, you still got the other 2. If 2 go down, you have 1. Have as many channels. I have like 5 different fucking channels there. I've had 6 in the past. They took down John Capri, and these fuckers took down the Goat Lodge, which is probably my best work, my best documentaries, my best interviews on that channel. Now I'm just Goat Scriptures. I have a few other channels going there. I'm not going to name them publicly. I'm not going to give the enemy ammo, but you'll know me when if I get short and I pop back up under another name. You'll know that it's me and I'm still here, still fighting.
Yes, indeed, and I also recommend, you mentioned websites, do try other platforms than YouTube. Stop empowering YouTube. Try BitChute. Right now it's full of Christian Wignets, and as lovely as those can be in how freely they criticize the world order, we need some spiritual diversity, so to say, over there.
Yes.
So please, I do recommend anyone here, do check out BitChute if you haven't done so already.
Another alternative to Fuckbook, and the only reason why I'm still on Jewbook there is because I have a small circle of friends who are in the kind of same stuff that I am, as well as like family members and like normies and stuff. I don't even care anymore. I post memes or troll posts, whatever the fuck, on what was my good boy account, my normie account. I don't give a shit anymore what happens to if it gets taken down or what the fuck ever. The only reason I'm still on there is because of my friends, you guys. If you weren't on there, I wouldn't fucking be on there. But a good alternative to Jewbook is VK, which is a Russian social network, and Minds. Minds is a network that does not have the thought policing that Failbook has. You're
I would
actually
like to say
free
about
to say something without having to worry about it getting hit by the thought police.
okay, you mentioned there BK. I would say this might work well for Americans and maybe Western Europeans, but BK is actually very heavily spied on by the Russian government, and neo-Nazis and other right-wingers on BK are consistently visited by the police in Russia and the former USSR states. So if you are in Eastern Europe, Central Asia, former communist bloc, do not rely on BK because it is completely government controlled. But if you're an American, you live quite far away, then maybe it's an alternative. Because I have talked to Russian people who tell me last place I should talk about these topics with them is on BK because they do risk getting arrested if they discuss this.
Yeah.
And ultimately, social media is helpful. Do try to make a circle of people where you do not need social media. You can bring back sending letters. It's not less reliable than social media. Or you can just boycott it altogether. It's actually quite satanic to do so. But if you're going to be on it, do a good job and use it for proper purposes, I would say.
Well, and we're in one of the countries, last remaining countries, that you do have some semblance of free speech.
Oh, yes.
Now, there are some ex-military anti-government that they expose stuff and they still get knock on doors and shit like that by the thought police and the alphabet gangs. But for the average American Joe, you can say a lot of shit. You can deny it. You can question the Holly cash story. You can question that. You can be critical of things. Whereas in like Germany, you get completely fucked. You get thrown in the slammer for 90 years. Grandmas, 90-year-old elderly people who question this fucking shit, they get the book thrown at them. So we still got a First Amendment. We still got a Second Amendment. Use your First Amendment right. Use your First Amendment or lose it.
Oh, yes, indeed. I really cannot think of any place where you would have any freedom other than America. Europe is no good. Russia is even worse than Central Europe, even worse than Germany. China is openly communist. Even though these countries may sort of seem to support opposition groups in the West, it may appear sometimes that the Russians are supporting like nationalist right-wing groups in Europe. This is purely because they want to undermine the status quo here in order to expand their own influence. But ideologically, they want to wipe out such groups, especially in their own countries. Same thing with the Chinese, but even more blatantly. And also, of course, with the Muslim countries, countries such as Iran have heavily supported Holocaust revisionism and general very anti-Zionist sentiments around the world. But it is a controlled opposition to undermine the West and Zionism. They ultimately will promote their own Islam, and while you're free to deny the Holocaust there, you are not free to
Deny
criticize
Islam.
religion.
Sharia they still have Sharia law and all that. So you're fucking bound by that shit. If you can't go against Sharia law, they'll fucking throw you off a building and stone you, cut your hands off, whatever the fuck they do in those horrible fucking third world countries.
Oh yes, and this is actually a point I was going to bring up much later, but it should be mentioned that all kinds of opposition, even what we're doing now, Satanism, can and is sometimes supported by an establishment, some part of the establishment, because they're not completely unified all. Politics is extremely complicated. There are conflicts, and they will at times support anything that undermines another establishment. If we seem like we get some power, most likely it is because one establishment wants to support us in order to undermine another, probably the one we're directly under. As example I said earlier, with Russia and China supporting right-wing groups in Europe and America, and Iran supporting anti-Zionism and very, well, outright anti-Semitism around the world. Ultimately, there is no ideology that some part of the elite, so to say, will not support if it will be useful for them at some point. Everything does tie in to the massive, complicated game of politics at some point. And no one is truly 100% independent. This is a sad reality. Some people try to argue with this. Some people try to say, well, oh, look, media is supporting this movement, therefore they're not the resistance. But media, some other media, is supporting your own movement. This is not a valid argument. They are resistance, and they can be supported by parts of the establishments. But this is ultimately just them using them as pawns to further their own power.
Yes. They create so many fucking millions of different illusion of choice. They create so many different things. You can be communist, you can be socialist, you can be Democrat, you can be Republican. You can be anything but against them. You can be any faith. You can be Muslim. You can be Christian. You can be kosher Satanist. The safe Satanists like the Church of Satan, Temple of Set, the established black lodges that are out in the open, that the White Lodge allows to be out in the open, that they allow to be out there. But you cannot be against the Jew. You cannot be against government.
Yes, you can.
Well,
Yes,
to a certain extent, but you can't be against the White Lodge Jew masters. You cannot be, they'll let you be anti-Zionist or whatever like that, as long as it keeps the spotlight off them, off the rabbinical masters.
Well, no, they don't even need that, as long as it will further another establishment. And it always will, because if you're pushing back one establishment, then automatically that will benefit another establishment. If the West is going down, whatever way, that is itself a benefit to the establishments of Russia, China, Iran. No matter how the West is going down. So no matter how you're fighting the establishment, you're automatically supporting other establishments. And this is probably the toughest parts of it. It is similar to the book 1984, where there are three superpowers, and if one is pushed down, then the other two will just go further, but no one will ever be completely defeated. There will always be a balance of power between superpowers that will just use whatever against each other.
And this is, so it's more than just, they give you a million different choices except what's good for you. They want what's good. It's like a game of fucking whack-a-mole. They have, you hit one, another one comes up, two more comes up. Rather than fucking breaking the machine or just refusing to play their fucking game.
indeed.
And this is highly encouraged. This is highly encouraged. You have all these countercultures. You have goth, punk. You have even metal has been infiltrated by them.
Absolutely.
A million fucking ways you can rebel against them. Fuck, they even give you video games. You know, they let you shoot them up and shit in these shoot 'em up games or these role playing games. You know, they tell you it's hidden in plain sight. Oh, but don't you ever, you know, think about prepping or teaching your family about firearm safety or fucking getting guns and getting, you know, trained and forming a militia and, you know, preparing
Yeah, they
for.
even do that. Actually, they even do that. The conservative establishment within the West supports that. The conservatives want there to be people who do that because those people will be their armed wing. Those people will just be useful to them. Imagine if because in the West there are several establishments. The biggest ones are the liberal and the conservative establishments, who are quite blatant in America. If the liberal establishments become too powerful, well, it's no wonder the conservative establishment have so many preppers and families and firearms on their side. Like if there's an apocalypse, that's great for them. They can push so many things on us. They can install martial law. They have so many obedient goyim to them.
Those are the Republican militia. They're not real fucking
No, even
American.
the libertarians, even like the Tea Party
Well,
libertarians.
you're talking about the clowns that think freedom means supporting the police. They'll never speak out against police or anything. They're like, oh, you know, we like freedom, we like guns, oh, but we also love police and government. These clowns are going to be the first fucking motherfuckers that form a line to get their RFID shoved up their ass, get their fucking 2020 real ID card, vaccinations every fucking year. It's all talk. They're not dangerous at all. In fact, they love the police. They'd probably more than happily give up their guns when the police come and for the confiscations.
Well, actually, it's very interesting you say that, because there's one quite important figure who has been promoting both firearm ownership and survivalism like that, as well as opposition to cops. It is actually a Jewess called Terry Wedler. These truly progressive libertarians who support liberty from the state, which means minorities get to have firearms to protect themselves from cops. Truly, I think I have not followed too well, but Joe Jorgensen, the current Libertarian Party, they're quite progressive. They are opposed to police brutality and all, while at the same time promoting libertarianism. Even this, there is, if you're opposing cops, they can use that. If you're supporting firearms, even then they can use that in one way or another. Ultimately, I believe they don't want, the vast majority of the establishment does not want civilians to have firearms freely like they do in America. Because all establishments have grabbed your guns. Trump has been a gun grabber, Reagan was a gun grabber, and the Democrats, they don't even make it a secret. However, even the ones defending guns, all the mainstream people defending guns at least, tie into the establishment. One or several establishments. Because actually this is Machiavellian. Machiavelli himself argues that the prince, the ruthless tyrant, should arm his citizenry, should make gun ownership widespread, so that his population will be prepared to fight for him and defend against an invader. Like, this is not inherently bad for the rulers that people are armed. And as a matter of fact, for example, Switzerland, it's not a free country, but everyone has firearms, mandatory, because that's beneficial to the rulers. Everyone is armed, that's great. They have an armed population to defend themselves with. This can be very annoying to hear. I know I was annoyed to death reading these kinds of statements, that no matter what you support, it seems like, oh, you're just supporting an establishment. I know this is very annoying to hear, but ultimately, if you just look carefully enough, if you scrutinize it, you will see that some part of the establishment or some establishment will make use of literally any policy or anything that you promote. And the most annoying part, well, the question that comes after naturally would be, okay, what can we do? Can we do anything? Can we do literally anything to actually gain freedom, to actually oppose all establishments? Well, yes, we can. Because politics are complex. We can do things that will support some establishments, while still ultimately supporting our own liberty. Even there is this saying, the last capitalist we will kill is the one who will sell us the rope. Ultimately, some establishments, some parts of the establishment, they can inadvertently support our liberation in one way or another. So don't, well, you can be if you want, but you don't need to be a complete schizophrenic who thinks that literally everyone is immediately trying to enslave you, and that you can never cooperate with anything. Ultimately, a Satanist should focus on his or her own personal evolution and liberation and development first and foremost. If one does that, then politics aside, politics are secondary to your spiritual development. Ultimately, politics is just mundane masses of humanity organizing themselves. And then there's the white lodge, who are just the powerhouse within the mundane masses who manage to organize them.
It depends on what establishment or what regime. This current one, they do not want the Goyim to have guns. No fucking way. They do not want the Goyim to have guns because what they got planned. They plan to abuse and abuse and abuse and fucking shit on and microchip and micromanage and completely just have a brain dead, retarded Goyimocracy. They're completely degenerate. They don't know. They don't know when good is being done to them. They don't even know when they're being abused anymore. And of course, it's going to be a fight. They're going to have a fight for that. They prefer to have it go as easy for them as possible with minimal casualties. They'd rather have all the Goyim give up their guns and everything so they can just... only the police have guns, only the police and military has force, and everyone else just completely defenseless against them. These guys are not Machiavelli. These guys are fucking... They take after Stalin. They take after fucking John Calvin. They take after behavioralism. They just see us as just total cattle. They just want to completely abuse and abuse and take and take and take, use us like resources unchallenged.
Indeed. And I think with the thing with firearms, everything seems to be moving towards more and more restriction no matter what. And I think one reason for this is because wars, as we traditionally know them, armed conflicts between nations and invasions are becoming less and less possible and real. Like, I say like way too much, but America, the odds of the United States of America being invaded by anything where the population need to take up arms to fight is non-existent at this point.
They're not going to be invaded. Who needs to be invaded when you have police that these order followers that more than happily shoot dogs? They fucking kill dogs. They even take enjoyment out of it. Go listen to Mark Passio. Like, he's heard like police confessions. The guy, he never went on the show yet, but he confessed to him, like, yeah, like I was on the force, and they're like. And like the cops are like, man, I love shooting dogs, man. I hope we get next call. I hope this next house has a dog in it so I can shoot the dog. Like these are scum. I mean, you don't need blue helmets. You don't need to fear of Russians or the Chinese or North Korea. Fuck, they even made a video game, Homeland or Homefront or something about North Korea invading the United States. You need North Korea when you have the police that are just as bad, if not worse, than North Korea. They kill dogs. They fucking will strangle you to death for selling loose cigarettes. There is not a single fucking law. There's no fucking law, no matter how small. They will not kill you over it to enforce. Fuck, they'll kill you over a fucking parking meter. They're completely out of control. They're completely out of fucking control.
Indeed, but it's not in the interest of any politician to deal with this, of course. It's only in we the people, our interest to actually deal with this. And ultimately, what's good for the people is never actually the factor that determines politics.
It's what's good for a small select few, a small minority privileged class. Oy vey, but we're the white working class going. We're fucking privileged though, you know. We're struggling, you know, working 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week, completely getting enslaved and taxed to death, barely having enough money to keep a roof overhead. We're the fucking privileged motherfuckers. We're the privileged motherfuckers, not them. And then they fucking tell you, well, they have all the shekels, they have all the money and all the power they fucking tell you whatever shit, nothing that you have to share a part of your jack shit with everyone else, with all the underlings, with all the different races and the poor people, the lazy bums. They don't even want to work or anything. You have to share the rest of your nothing with everyone else. With people who won't even assimilate, who will not even speak English, who hate you, who hate this country, who hate it, that want to bring it down. You have to share what breadcrumbs you have left. You must share your breadcrumbs with the weakling, with the tired, with the poor, with the destitute. I forgot who said it, but it was a communist. It was a communist and a nose who put that on the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your degenerate. Give me your retarded. Give me all your scum. That was never supposed to be on the Statue of Liberty. It was a communist beak who fucking put that engraving on there.
Yeah, I think she was called Emma. She was commonly called Red Emma. I don't know her, I don't remember her surname. I know she was called Emma. She was very big among anarchists, especially. I think she supported the anarchists in Spain. She was a Jewess who migrated to the US. Of course, she supported terrorists and generally undermining American society.
And most so-called anarchists are not anarchists. Anarchy died with Mikhail Bakunin. And he lived under this shit. He lived under the fucking, he lived under that garbage in Russia. And he's like, give me 1,000 czars over one Karl Marx. Because Karl Marx was so much worse, so much shittier and worse than the fucking czar. He's like, I'd rather have 1,000 czars than one Karl Marx. And Bakunin was very anti-communist, very anti-Semitic too. He was very anti-nose. But you know what they did? They've infiltrated anarchism just like they've infiltrated every everything else. So anarchism has been gelded, it has its nuts cut off, and it's been completely fagotized and Judaized. So now anarchism is about race, it's about equality and political correctness. It's no different with the communist agenda. They're all these fake ass anarchists, as Passio calls them. They are anarchist in name only. They're not true anarchists. Anarchism just means no master, no slave. It doesn't mean no rules. Oh, I do whatever the fuck I want. I can shit in the street. I can fucking run around with my dick out and creep on people and fucking be degenerate in front of children and everything. No rules. That's not what it fucking means. It means no masters, no slaves, meaning no government, no police. People are governing themselves. Voluntarist society. But what they did to anarchism, anarchism is just 100%. It's no different from fucking communism now.
Indeed, because anarchism has become obsessed with the idea of not just liberty, but these three words that have been hammered into our heads for hundreds of years. Not just liberty, but also equality and fraternity. They are so obsessed with equality, and they think that equality versus inequality is the one-dimensional political axis that everything can be divided upon. And equality is ultimately progressivism. And progressivism is a very selective idea of implementing policies that appear as if they're liberating or bringing equality.
The question is, equal what? What the fuck is equal in nature? There isn't any equality. Everyone's born with different abilities and different skill sets, different traits. This is so asinine. They rant and rave and bitch about equality, but equal what? You can't find it in nature. There isn't any fucking equality in the animal kingdom. I mean, now granted, we have higher reasoning. We have the ability for compassion. We have the ability for higher reasoning and intellect. Now, I am not damning and slamming compassion in any way, or trying to do the right thing, or trying to help someone, help a Gentile out in need. I'm not slamming that. I'm completely all for charitable works, but fuck, just don't give fucking money to the homeless. Give them an education. Okay, hey, you want to fucking get out of it? Okay, here's a trade school. I'm going to teach you how to weld. I'm going to teach you how to do something useful for yourself, so you don't have to rely on me. You can fucking become reliant on yourself. But this is not the kind of fucking equality that they want. You see, here's where the Founding Fathers fucked up. They said that everyone was born equal under the Creator, equal under the law, but they didn't fucking specify enough. So a lot of constitutionalists, which is still government, it's still gubernare, mind control. It's still a problem, but it's very small government. It's minimal government. The constitutionalist, Christian, conservative constitutionalists will say that we are created equal under the law, meaning it doesn't matter what race or color you are. You commit a murder, you're held to the same standard, you're held of accountability as anyone else. If you commit an arson or you commit a theft or whatever, or violate someone else's natural common law, you're going to be held to accountability. But this is not the fucking kind of equality that these motherfuckers are purporting. They want equal results. They want fucking Harrison Bergeron, where everyone is equal intelligent, equal capability, equal strength, equal capacity. No one is outstanding. No one is differentiated from another. It's a paralyzing collectivist Borg where everyone's like, all humanity is reduced to like a gray mass, and you can't ever tell a difference. Check out Harrison Bergeron. That's a dystopian story. I think it's by Kurt Vonnegut. And in this future hell dystopia, it was the 200th amendment or 200 passing for mandatory equality. So guess what? This is what they fucking do. They dumb you the fuck down at school and everything. They make, if one's smarter than another person or one has like a higher IQ, they give you electroshocks to make you retarded, to make you dumb like everyone else. If someone's stronger, they put weights on you. So here you have a bunch of people who are practically brain dead, who are fucking retarded, vaccinated, chemically retarded, electroshocked, chemical and physical lobotomized. Everyone's got weighted vests and like weight plates on them. If someone's a little bit faster, a little bit stronger, or more athletic than another person, then they'll have bigger weight plates. They'll have heavier weight plates on them. So you have a complete society where everyone's fucking retarded. It has physical shackles and weight on to make them physically slow. That is the kind of fucking equality that the communistic White Lodge is trying to fucking push. There. Equal fucking results. But you cannot have equal results. You cannot even have equal opportunity. Now, granted, the Founding Fathers, they had very good intentions. They tried, the early country and the people who started, they tried to create equal opportunity. They tried to create equal law, equal opportunity, and everything. But some people are, you just cannot give equal opportunity. Some people, they will not assimilate. They will never assimilate. They will never be grateful. Some people are just built differently to live in different parts of the world. And you just keep bringing them over here and expecting them to assimilate to Western culture. It just isn't going to fucking happen. So where the Founding Fathers, where they fucked up, is they had a loose end. They had a loose knot, basically. Equal law, equal opportunity. The communists like, oh, equality. We're going to take that. We're going to warp it. We're going to fucking twist it. Now everything is equal results. Results-based education, which is not an results-based indoctrination system. Results-based propaganda. Results-based, basically the lowest common fucking denominator where everyone's basically fucking equally retarded, equally poor, equally brain dead, equally weak and fucking vaccinated and docile. And you have one permanent underclass of just slaves where everyone's equally enslaved and equally dead and equally damned, and one very, very small overclass. Michael Tessarian said that like there was only like about 100 communists in the Soviet Union. Like there was 100 actual communists that were benefiting from all of it. And then the other people in government, they were just like in George Orwell, they were like the mid-party levels. They were just the party members towing the line. They got some benefit. They could go to the communist store that was accessible that only the government could shop there. And then the third rung below that was just the permanent underclass, the slaves. They were worked practically to death, paid nothing, and then whatever fucking stores or anything, there was absolutely nothing on the shelf. There was lines and lines and lines for bread, and practically when you got to when it was your turn, they fed you garbage that wasn't even fit for a pig. It was just basically slop, just raw sewage. Here's your, you get one ladle spoonful of sewage per day. That's what you're allowed to eat. And these fucking leftist shit-lib retards, they think that they're going to create a utopian paradise where all their needs are met. They are so fucking mistaken. They're not going to have their needs met. The needs of the overclass, the very small elite, their needs, they're going to be living, they're going to be living in heaven on earth. They're going to be living in paradise at everyone else's expense while everyone else is shit on and everyone's just fucking disposable human beings. They what's the big part of the propaganda there is they call it the People's Republic, the People's Republic. I forgot who said this, but it's a lot better, easier to beat someone with a stick if you call it the People's Stick, because they think, oh, I'm included. I'm included. No, you're not fucking included. Here's part of the dark sorcery here. The People's Republic, they forget to tell you it's the chosen People's Republic. It's the J-ish People's Republic. Not the People's Republic, but the chosen special People's Republic. The special people's paradise on earth. And you're not part of that paradise on earth. You're not part of it. In fact, you're not even considered human beings. You're lower than animals in these Talmudic scrolls. There, you're just to be animals, or just to be shit upon, worked to death, have your throat cut, and then thrown the fuck away. Next, abuse and enslave this person, throw them the fuck away. Next. So equality is complete bullshit. It doesn't exist anywhere in nature. We have the ability for compassion and reason. Everyone is kind of, in a Western culture, is held to, if it was done right, equality under the law. But the whole equality thing was just a loose end for these fuckers to come in there and make it all about equal results, equally enslaved, equally dumb, disposable human beings.
I felt they should have intervened there. When you talk about they're gonna make their paradise, actually they will make a paradise for us. But you need to look at what paradise actually means. Paradise comes from Greek. I think originally from Persian. But in Greek it means the garden. And I think in Persian it means a sealed off area. They want to make a paradise. They want to make a park where they can control us. They don't necessarily want material wealth, well-being, physical pleasure. They want power ultimately after all.
Yes.
Like their physical pleasure is of secondary importance. Their absolute goal is power. The absolute goal of everything in politics is just power. They don't even necessarily want to have a good time, like physical pleasure. Actually, the few people who do, the people who are looking for like wealth, pleasure, those are slaves. Those can be used as slaves. You can bait them. You can bribe them in one way or another. Because if that's their priority, then just give them some prostitute and now you can blackmail them for all life.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like, even in 1984, it's surprisingly accurate. Well, not surprisingly, it has great insights. I'm not surprised it's accurate. But it said that the inner party are not actually that well off. They don't live that comfortably. Yeah, they live best in the whole world. They have the best living standard in the whole world, the inner party. They have their own TV, their own coffee, they can live, but they don't really live better than a lower middle class person in our world, where we live now. They live materially, they don't live better than a complete wage cut in our world. But they have something that a wage cut does not have. They have power over the entire earth. And ultimately, like, they individually cannot just decide to change the world. They are in power, but they can't really use, they're enslaved by it, because they have to use power to consolidate their power. They can't be irresponsible about it. And I think, well, Nietzsche also pointed this out. We don't live for pleasure. He says only the Englishmen do that. What's ultimately good is power, and what furthers power. And the Jews, I will name them in this interview, have realized it. They do understand this. They, for all eternity, they've understood, most of them, that power is more important than pleasure. And they have been very aware of precisely power, not specific ideology, just power. And then ideologies can be used to just further power. And then pleasure is a secondary importance, and it can also be used for further power. and they've been turned on this exactly precisely, whereas we Gentiles, we Western civilization, we white people, we have had lots of ideas. We have had hedonists, we have had lots of philosophers thinking about what we actually want, what we should desire. We have not been sure about this. Some people have tried to gain power, some have not. We've overall been a mess with lots of revolutions, and of course the Jews have taken advantage of this in the end. Now they finally have a very strongly consolidated power. I don't know how I want to end this, but this is the input I wanted to make, what you were saying.
Fire away.
No, I don't really know how to continue on from there.
I agree with you 100%. It is about power. At the highest levels, they don't give a fuck about money or material possessions. They fucking give a fuck. They only give a fuck about control, about power. Hell, they don't even care about money. Money is fucking goy to your shit. Their currency is children. You know, they don't trade in dollar bills. They trade in children, goy children, for their sick fucking rituals and everything. It is about power and like endless power. But ultimately, it's not just an arbitrary thing is just happening to us. The slave is complicit. The slave is complicit. His cooperation is just as fucking important. Just as fucking as much blame, just as much can be blamed for these masters. And so everyone will point to, oh, the Jew, this, Jew, that. Well, I ask, what are the fucking Goyim doing that attracts the Jews there, that allows them to continue fucking rule, misrule and abuse?
Indeed, and this is a point that I had like a scheme where I was going to get to this point, but I can't say it straight away now. This is not very organized. But this is a sort of slave morality. The reason a lot of leftists like to claim Nietzsche, they say he was absolutely not the right wing. He was their guy because he criticized anti-Semitism. Well, the reason he did that was because he was criticizing slave morality. There's a strong slave morality with a lot of anti-Semites. It's that we are being treated unfairly, bad things are happening to us, and the Jews are basically doing this to us. And if we just get rid of the Jews, then things will be fine. And the world is bad for us, and it's good for the Jews, and it's the Jews' fault that it is this. You can correctly analyze politics and point out lots of things, but ultimately, if you fall back on this mentality that I just described, then you are living a strong slave morality. You're not enjoying your life properly. And this ties in well with the fact that most anti-Semites historically have been Christians. Nowadays they're mostly Muslims. Historically it was Christians, and Christianity is heavily tied to it. And it's slave morality. We are forced to toil and suffer on this earth. Some other people have it good, but they shouldn't. We should have it, that we get rid of those people, and
it's victim mentality. So these fucking anti-Semites are like, oh, well, fuck the Jew. They're anti-Semitic because oh, they killed our Jesus. Well, Nazarene was a fucking Jew. So they create the problem, and then they create the solution. The solution is kosher anti-Semitic. These aren't real anti-White Lodge, anti-Abrahamic motherfuckers. These These motherfuckers have a love-hate relationship. Oh, I wish the Jews wouldn't beat us so bad. What they're really saying is, don't beat us so bad. Oh, Jews, give us more cushions. Give us more money. Let us have more cushions and pillows and bears in the cell. Don't beat us so hard. Oh, Jews, don't beat us so hard. That's what that fucking shit is coming from. And I'm completely against that. I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm anti-Abrahamic. I'm saying that fucking Christianity, Judaism, Islam, the whole White Lodge should be fucking nuked. I'm anti-Abrahamic, which is a different thing, completely different.
Indeed, and Christianity, the thing is, Christianity offers a complete solution to any problem that the Jews might do to you. Because, okay, the Jews are bankers. Well, Christianity tells you, don't speculate with money. Keep clean from that. They might promote pornography, bad morals. Christianity tells you, no, don't care about that. If you are a devout Christian, nothing the Jews do can really harm you. The worst thing they can do to you, if you're a Christian, is they can kill you. They can gulag you, torture you, and kill you. But according to Christianity, if you're a Christian, you should love that, because that's a one-way ticket to heaven. Like a Christian, you're ordered, you're instructed to take great pleasure in the world, no matter how bad it is, and enjoy it, and just stay completely faithful to your faith, no matter what everyone else does. It says, walk the path that's true, even if it means walking alone. And don't care if they subvert all of society, just remain with your faith, and they can do whatever with you, but you will get rewarded in the afterlife. It is a perfect solution, and I'm not saying this is terrible. I am not saying that we should completely abandon this thinking, and instead we should obsess over power and panic over what they're doing to our society. Ultimately, I hate to be a centrist, but I feel the answer is somewhere in between. Christianity does offer a very valid solution, but it is one solution that ultimately works in their hands.
What the Christians are putting out there is, don't worry about this life. You can get shit on, be the worst slave, be completely enslaved and tortured in the most bestial ways, be a completely debased slave, and then you'll get rewarded in the next life, aka suicide. It's a slow suicide, and I'm completely against it. We need to go.
I'm not completely against that.
Why?
Because if you are happy with that, if you have a Christian faith and you feel confident about this life and you feel happy about that, and you can die with confidence and happiness, then why would that be a bad thing? I know this might sound strange, but ultimately think about it. If you can really be happy with your life no matter what happens, and you die of suicide because of this, but you're happy about it all the way through and you know it, you think it's right, how is that wrong? Now, this is something that's been bothering me a lot, of course.
It is objectively wrong, because the whole earth is going to be turned into a fucking gulag, and no one will have any freedom, will have any dignity or decency, or have any ability to reach their potential. I want to see man reach his potential. I want to see the Homo Galacticus. I want to see the Galactic Man as espoused by the Order of the Nine Angles. And I want to see, greater than that, I want to see the Homo Profundus, or the Void Man. I want to see man touch the void, touch the absolute. If these fuckers win, if slavery wins, ultimately it's going to be the masses. The masses are asses. They're going to choose their damnation and the damnation of all life, or they're going to choose freedom. A lot of people, they have to be whipped up against the wall practically before they wake the fuck up. Man is still in their deep coma, but I think it's part of what Michael Tessarian and Mark Passio is true, that mankind loves their servitude. They hate themselves. They hate consciousness. They hate, they love their slavery because, like, consciousness is not fucking. It's not fucking that old. It's still new. I mean, fucking for thousands of years, The common motherfucker was illiterate. They thought the earth was flat. And only for about 500 years now, since the Enlightenment era, you get some semblance of consciousness. You get some semblance of higher reasoning. Like, oh, fuck, we don't want that. We want to go right back to being retarded goyim. Well, sheep are going to fucking sheep. But we live in a world where spiritual and mental infants and retards, their choices dictate our level of freedom for everyone else. So if enough retards say, oh, we want New World Order, we want communism, we want government, we want total government and slavery, us who don't want that for ourselves, who want to be free, who want to express our potential, we have to suffer because of their fucking choices.
Indeed,
So they're right. So what you're saying, what's good for the sheep? Yeah, sheep are gonna sheep. It's good for them, but it's not good for us. It's not good for thinking individuals. It's not good for the outsider. It's no good for someone who just wants to be left the fuck alone.
Indeed, we are so strongly convinced that we want something different, that we will not enjoy, well, in a different way possibly, but ultimately we would not enjoy communism and martyrdom and Christianity. We are determined that we would not enjoy those things. But this is the common trap, hypothetically. The people who are more reasonable, more spiritual, more free-minded are going to end up with Christianity. It's going to be their salvation. It's really what they give you, salvation from suffering. And it poses a dilemma. You can choose to enjoy all of this, to not have to bother about it at all.
Fuck salvation from suffering. It's all about the pleasure principle. They're playing heavily on that. They dangle the carrot in front of you, say, we'll give you a perfect paradise, no suffering, no problem whatsoever. If you disagree with us, you go to hell with the carrot and stick. So what they're doing, what their hopes are, and this has worked greatly in their favor, is that the slave is going to bite the carrot and run away from the stick. So that this way, this pleasure principle, a lot of people are still in that modality. They can be easily manipulated. Now, that's not the nature, that's not the soul of the Western man. The soul of the Western man is the will to meaning. I forget, Nietzsche or Goethe, Tsarian quoted them, the true awakened man will suffer for a greater cause, for a greater meaning. If he can create a better future, if he can create a better, if he can create freedom for his children, grandchildren, etc., he will gladly welcome suffering and hardship for a greater meaning. That's completely beyond. That is beyond the fucking realm of the goyim that are completely just living on pleasure to pleasure, next excitement to next excitement.
Indeed, and I think you captured there why we are Satanists. Because ultimately we can adapt an attitude similar to Christianity, where we can endure, we can love, we can delight in all kinds of sufferings and martyrdoms and hell. But ultimately we have a different goal. We are struggling to create a different world altogether. Something completely different from what Christians are accepting and from what the Jews are actively building. And yes, actually I think you very well answered that there. We simply have determined from the depth of our soul that we want something completely different, and no matter how pleasurable, how much of a bliss ignorance can be, we refuse to accept it. Right? You summarized it perfectly there.
Exactly. Though there was a reason why Eve bit from the serpent, bit from the fruit there. Because his fucking brain dead and his fucking retarded. that the demiurges Yahweh had on the Adams and the Eves, which I'm starting to think now they were not two individuals, they were a race. The Adams and the Eves, plural, that they were a race and not two individuals. They bit from the serpent, because even as retarded and as stupid at Goyim cattle that the demiurge, if you believe that story, once had them, there was something inside them that demiurge could not suppress, and that was the spirit. They had the spirit, they had something in them that told them, this is wrong, we should listen to the serpent, we should listen to the other side of the story, we should listen to the opposition. Fuckway told us, don't eat from the serpent, you will die, even though we don't know what that means. We don't know what thou shalt die. We don't know what tree of knowledge. We don't know what knowledge of good and evil means, because that's still Chinese to us. Something told them, listen to the serpent. There's something that the serpent is telling you that you will never get from the demiurge. You will never get from this fuckway Jehovah, false creator, God. And Eve bit from the fruit there, not knowing, but yearning that in faith that she would be giving something that the demiurge, that the false creator could not provide or would not provide. You have to see this movie. I just watched this awesome movie called Zardoz. It's a post-apocalyptic movie, and it's about these people. They have no death. They're eternals. They've made themselves scientifically immortal. They don't age anymore. And the outlanders, the people that are outside of their little Sethi bubble, they're just like retarded goyim. And they have this floating head there, and they give all their crops and everything once a year to this head, which takes it into this bubble zone. Oh man, there's just so many good things in that fucking movie. Red pills in that fucking movie.
Do write that down for me. Write that down in the chat. I will watch that because you recommended it now. And it's interesting the way you put the story of Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden, into this. Because generally I just outright deny such stories. They present a completely false dichotomy. But when you presented that now, tied it into this, it's very interesting because it makes a lot of sense. I was gonna get to this. I once published a video ranting about this. It was terrible, and I deleted it because it didn't make sense. But there is this Platonic idea that is featured in Christianity. It's featured in a very famous movie, and it's featured in a lot of right-wing circles. And it's the idea of a red pill, that we are in a cave, Plato's cave, and that you can get out of the cave and see reality as it really is, and that most people are just stuck in the cave and you somehow have to explain to them what reality is, or show them that you have this red pill, you take it, and then you see reality for what it really is. This idea, I dislike it a lot. Nietzsche tried to debunk it. It comes from Plato. It has been strongly incorporated in Christianity and in a lot of popular thoughts. It's essentially foundational to all of Western philosophy. Only recently, like the last 200 years, we really started questioning this with postmodernism. I am opposed to this idea that you can just take a red pill and then you see reality as it really is. Now, granted, there are situations where it's just you make one decision and then you see reality completely differently. For example, rejecting Abraham, so rejecting Christianity and Jewish communist white lodge agenda and embracing Satanism. But ultimately there's no one pill you're gonna take where you see reality as it really is or should be seen. Should, according to who? Because there is no objective objective narrative for how things are supposed to be. You're not objectively, can never be objectively more right than any sheepish goy, any complete brain-dead TV watcher wage cock, any Christian. You're not objectively seeing the world more correctly than they are. Their lives and their experiences are just as valid as yours. This is hard to swallow. This does not mean that you should be complete apathetic to what's what. We don't want to be Christians. We don't want to be wage slaves. We don't want to be TV watchers. We have decided against that. But we understand that we are not the real holders of truth, of the real narrative. We may understand the world a lot better than a lot of people, but ultimately we have not uncovered the one grand narrative that other people just don't know about. You will never have this. You will never have this one red pill that really shows you reality as it completely, truly, objectively, correctly is.
It has to be awakened within you. It has to be awakened when you teach natural law and people know what is right from wrong. They can develop their own. They can develop their own spiritual sight.
I would say this.
And we are, and we are right. We are objectively right because history is on our side. Okay, I can give you endless examples. The French Revolution, all these bloody revolutions. When even the Goyim, as retarded as the slaves are, there is a limit to them, a limit to the abuse that they will take before they rise up and they kill these abusive governments and these abusive states, it's always been within their right. They should have done it sooner. If people or a populace embraces man's law, government has these imaginary rights, the police have the right to kill and stuff that nobody has, that you don't have, the end result is slavery. That's it. Slavery and bloodshed, and every fucking regime in history fucking tells us that.
Yeah,
when a populace does embrace objective truth, objective reality, hey, we can't just rob, steal, and Jew others. That's where freedom. That's where freedom is. But if everyone embraces subjective, it's whatever the fuck I want it to mean, or whatever like that, you have a bunch of chaos, and the most psychopathic, the most murderous, they float up to the top. They always float up to the top. Wherever you have no civilization, no natural law, the Jew always seems to float up to the top. It has a brutal communistic dictatorship.
Well, you're right in that we have seemingly more knowledge of history, and our view of history and of the world makes more sense. It seems like a very good explanation.
Not seemingly, it's truth.
No, here's the thing. We can't know exactly the truth. Everything could be an illusion. But we have something. This works as an explanation what we understand. Okay? It works. You can say it's objective truth, and that will work. You will probably not be refuted, but we can't know for sure. I know this sounds cocky, this sounds very postmodernist. It is postmodernist. I will admit that. Here's the thing. Okay. This was something separate, but when you bring up freedom, actually, freedom, equality, brotherhood, these three ideals that's been hammered into our head, all of those are ultimately lies. Like, we can have vague general versions of them, but ultimately they're not objective true things. Freedom, okay, you're always going to be a slave on something. Under natural law, well, someone's gonna enslave you under natural law, under your psychology, under fear, slave under a boot on your face. You can be slave to whatever. You're never gonna be free from absolute everything. The only kind of freedom you can have where you're free from absolute everything is non-existence, complete non-existence. Equality is a complete scam. There is no such thing as equality. Equality in what? Like, the only equality is like being identical in every aspect. It's being the exact same thing. That's the only
That's
possible
death. Who the
equality.
fuck would want to be identical? I don't. That's death.
No, like, it's not even undesirable. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Like, you are not. It's a logical impossibility. But here's the thing. We don't do what we do. We don't think what we think. Because it is objectively right. Well, it's objectively right in one way, but not the way you might think. We do this because this is how we are, and that's an objective truth. We reject Christianity because we are Satanists, and that's what we are, and that's the objective truth. It's not because we discovered it to be wrong, it's the way we are. We will not accept these kinds of sheepish slavery. We will not accept blue pill, even though I don't like that word, lifestyles, because this is simply how we are. That's an objective truth. It's not because we can mathematically prove that we're right. It's simply the way we are. And no matter like what you show with reason, we're not gonna change the way we are fundamentally. This is how we are. And that's why we're doing what we do. The wage cocks, the Christians, the sheeple, they're not how they are because they believe they have come to the conclusion that that is right. They are the way they are because that's simply the way they are. That's the truth in that. This might sound like gibberish I'm saying now, but it's an important distinction I've come to realize.
I agree. Some people are inferior. Some people are trash. They hate themselves. They hate their consciousness. No, objectively trash. There is such a thing. There is such a thing as objective superiority and objective trash. These are the fucking types like, oh, I trust government. Oh, if I didn't see it on TV, it doesn't exist. They're called dross. Dross people do exist. Chaff. They will always be there. You don't know why, don't know how they got there, but they're there. And as long as we have to fucking deal with them. We have to deal with them. But it doesn't mean that we have to be ruled by them.
Okay. Now I'm being pedantic. I know I'm being pedantic, but technically, like, if there is trash, is by a measure, by some sort of standard, by some sort of definition that someone imposes. And yes, when we impose the definition of trash, use this measure, it is for good reasons, of course, when we say things, people are trash. Because ultimately, the elite, the people who rule them, most people who think about this would come to the conclusion that they are trash. But it is a subjective measure. This is very pedantic, and I'm sorry. But this is the kind of point that I was trying to get to. But yeah, ultimately there is one standard, sort of, you can measure this with, and that's simply power, okay? It doesn't fucking matter what they'll tell me, what kind of reasoning they'll shove in my face. If I just beat them to death, theoretically, nothing can argue against that. That's power. Like if the Jews establish full-on communism and they just shove you in gulag and they aim at rape you to death, you can't argue against that. That's just power. They objectively won. That's the only real objective standard, power. It's hard to measure for humans. Sometimes it's very easy. If someone points a gun at your head, that's very easy to measure they have power. Psychologically, if you're talking about religions, it becomes harder. There's a Christian who has a complete devotion to his faith, and who's ready to be a martyr, to have power over his own life, his own happiness, or he's a complete slave. It's hard to determine, but ultimately, this is what we can really make an objective measure with power.
So you're saying you're measuring objective truth with force. That's man's law, that's subjective law. That's the same thing that got us into this mess. There are some things you don't get to decide, you don't get to make up. And that's the paradox of it. Animals are not held to natural law. They can just tear and rip each other apart. We have the capacity for reasoning and compassion. We can do things differently than just brute force. Not everyone has fucking learned. Not everyone has fucking learned that yet.
Yeah, we can, and we have reason because it's useful. Because ultimately, it will be more effective than pure brute force. But in the end, like for us, we should treat it like it's an objective law for us. But technically, it's not, because they have broken against it. They have gone against it. They have gone against your natural law. Like, you can, if you just tell the Jews this is an objective rule, well, it's not, because they can just shoot you.
They don't. They don't have any conception of objective truth. They're completely psychotic. Truth is to them is whatever the fuck they make up, whatever they want it to be.
Yes, and ultimately, that works for them. It has worked. We may not like it, and we will try to hinder that. We will work against that, because our decision, here's something that's objective about objective law. You have objectively decided that this should be the law, and you will work for this to be the law. Now it is an objective truth for us, because we have made it one. And I know this sounds pedantic, but I don't know, I have this obsession with getting down to this. I'm not sure why. But I agree we should treat it as something objective, but ultimately we will have to force it upon firstly ourselves and then upon others for it to truly be an objective law. Technically.
I don't think.
But now I feel sorry.
I don't think you get what natural law means. It's just natural law means just don't fucking Jew other people, don't steal for them, don't rob for them. We had it for a second. We had it for a second in the United States. It was called common law. Then they let the enemy in, and they fucking Talmudized all the courts and made it their fucking Talmudic fucking cutthroat bandit law, which is whatever the fuck we want it to be. And a million codes, a million statutes that the Goyim are expected to obey. Oy vey will kill you if you break any of these. Well, our police will kill you to enforce these stupid codes and everything. In a true natural law society where everybody respected it, not everyone's going to respect it, but self-defense principle is one of the natural law things. It is the ability to defend yourself. So what would happen, there would be some chaos, there would be violent street gangs or whatever, but most of these idiots would take themselves out, and those that observe natural law don't Jew others and everything, get along, defending themselves. don't Jew, don't take the truth, don't take anything from others, don't rape, don't take the life that isn't yours. They're going to survive. Whatever happens, essentially happens. It would be like the Wild West for a while. It would be like that, not forever, but for a while, until all the assholes took themselves out, took each other out.
Well, you know, it is very good. It is good, it is very desirable that we have this. But ultimately, it does have one flaw, and it's the fact that they managed to abolish it. If the Jews managed to get rid of it, obviously something must be wrong. It's very desirable, but we must understand that something was wrong with it, which led the Jews to be able to abolish it.
They didn't abolish it. These are like this natural law is self-existing. It's like gravity or fucking the law of conservation or thermodynamics. It's self-fucking existing. It doesn't need anything to exist. The Jews, they just fucking made up their own bullshit courts and everything, and we went along with it. We sucked down the poison, and now we're paying the consequences of not observing common law, natural law, whatever you want to fucking call it, because we are losing freedom. We are losing big time. We're losing our freedom. Whatever little freedom we have left, we're losing it fucking fast. And these motherfuckers, they're not going anywhere unless we do something about it. Another thing too, the universe favors courage. Good courage or dark courage. Courage to set things free, or courage to enslave. That's why the universe is letting them win, because they're doing what the fuck they're doing, and we're not doing shit about it. We're just watching football or church or whatever fucking stupid shit. And they're basically they're going, their agendas are going unfucking challenged. The universe will allow them to win because no one else is challenging them. No one else is fucking doing anything.
Indeed, this is true. They are prepared to go through Holocaust. They are prepared to go through the Shoah as they portray it in our schools and in the media and in movies, with the gas chambers and the superstar skeletons and all of that. They are prepared to go through that by showing this, by having these Holocaust memorials and all that, and all lectures. One thing they're doing is that they are, even if they tell themselves it happened and it didn't, I'm not saying which, for reasons, but whether it happened or not, the fact that they're telling themselves so much that it happened is a mental preparation for the fact that that could happen, and it makes them strong. It makes them very strong. And yeah, same thing with Christianity. Christianity has so many stories of martyrdoms, plenty of which could be absolute nonsense. They have so many stories of how horribly they were treated in the Roman Empire. Lots of these stories could be complete fiction, but what's important is that they believe that, and they're ready for that. They make that their standard, the standard of, oh, they were fed to lions in the Colosseum in Rome. The fact that they make such stories and they believe in them is a mental preparation for the fact that that could sometime happen. Same thing with the Holocaust stories. That's true courage that they are instilling upon themselves.
Suicidal courage. They don't give a fuck about themselves anymore. They care about their racial agenda, about world enslavement. And that is the kind of courage we have to have. We have to have that kind of racial courage for our people. That it's fucking liberty or death. Give me freedom or death. That we would die. We would get murdered, shot, gulag, whatever, if it means that our children might be free.
Yeah, and we also have our martyrs. We have the witch trials. We have the thousands of innocent Gentiles who are brutalized by the Christian guys, the mundanes, for being somewhat gifted. We have the stories of the gulags, where millions of our people were tortured and put to complete subhuman standards of living and eventually dying. For existing, we have our own martyrs, and by studying them, studying stories, we are preparing ourselves for this could happen to us. It has happened to us, so of course it can happen to us again.
Oh yeah, I mean fucking Salem witch trials and everything. That was only how many, like 200 fucking years ago, 300 years ago. Well, that hasn't stopped. Nowadays, they may not drown you or put you in a bucket. They put you in a padded cell. You're crazy. You're crazy. You get the electroshock. You get the fucking everything. So the Inquisition has not fucking stopped. It's changed. It's been some of the elements have changed. So instead of the Iron Maidens and the fucking Strapedo and fucking hanging people by their thumbs and all that shit, they may not do that now. But they have padded cells, they have electroshock, they have lobotomies, they have insane asylums. So if they decide, hey, they don't like you or what the fuck you're doing, they still have creative ways to fuck with you, to fuck you up. And we have to be aware that it's still going on. It hasn't ended. And no one's truly safe from it. The best advice is to learn a martial art. If you're unable to, get a firearm and carry it with you at all times. Fucking sleep with it. Because these motherfuckers, they'll grab you in your sleep. So you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared to shoot, to kill, or die at any fucking given moment. That is the warrior mentality that you have to have.
Yes, just overall, just be ready. Be a strong, powerful Satanist, or left empath, or however you call it. Be strong, powerful, and be prepared to go through some really tough shit and to struggle.
Yep.
Overall, whatever they might throw at you. Yeah, having guns, martial arts, that's very basic. Of course, you should be ready with that. Survivalism, some people do that. I'm not gonna say if I do that, because someone might be listening, but recommendable. Like whatever, just be prepared, they might pull these tough shit on you. And as you said, like, they did this. They're doing different things right now. They can start doing things they used to do again. They can start doing full-on witch trials, full-on gulag in the future. Because they did that, they never completely stopped with that. They can start doing it for real again, absolutely. I'm trying to think of, they're keeping it very secret. I think they do kidnap people, and they do torture people very brutally. I'm talking about doing like BDSM until you fucking die, for real. But they're doing it very secretly. I'm sure they're doing this stuff. Like, I mean, in America you have rapes in prison. They fucking shove you in a cell. You have a bunch of criminals rape you to death every day. But I think they're doing far more brutal versions of that secretly.
Yeah.
The media is just
The
not
black sites. I think it was fucking 2014 or something. The fucking Ferguson riots or whatever the fuck. There was an article that was on like Free Thought Project. They're policing the police for like 1 second. They're even going after their own Antifa or some like communist fucking fuckheads who were burned down businesses or whatever. They got fucking gulag, black band, and there was a secret police torture facility in like an abandoned school or something like that. And of course, there's a very small group of people, not enough, not many. They were screaming to take it down or to like stop it or something like that. But that's just one example. They don't need that shit. I think was there like 500 fucking camps or something, and just the continental states alone, not accounting for Mexico, not accounting for Canada. And they're waiting any given moment to invoke the right kind of emergency legislation. So it's going to be a hell of a fight. Even the Christian goyim there are going to have to become very satanic to fight, which I think is a interesting irony. All these Christians are very anti-Satan, but these, like your Alex Joneses, and and the people who love the guns, they're prepping, they're stocking up guns and shit. They're more fucking satanic. They're more fucking satanic than the fucking ass clowns in the fucking ass clowns in the black lodges that the White Lodge advertises and lets you join and everything. There, so even though these Christians, these Christians they're anti-government. The Alex Jones types of guys and stuff, very patriotic. They got the guns and everything. That's very satanic there, because they're satanic to the government. They're adversarial to this to the controllers and the control agenda.
Absolutely.
And your average Joe who doesn't want war, who wants peace, they're gonna be in for the blackening. They're gonna be in for a lot of spiritual Negredo. They're gonna be in for a fucking ride.
Oh yeah. And even though, as I said earlier, even these types, like Alex Jones, absolutely, and a lot of his followers, most of his followers, they tie in to some establishment. Alex Jones is control opposition. Like his followers, they tie into control opposition. But the fact that they're doing what they're doing, being anti-governmental and all that, it's still a good thing that they're doing it. It's still a good thing to make this a thing that people are doing that is acceptable in society. In America, it's like almost sort of acceptable in society, which is fucking awesome. That's what I love about America. Like, yes, this tie into establishment. They want to use this. It's control opposition, but it's still good that we do it. It's still good that there are people like Alex Jones and his followers. That there are these Christian wignats, as they're called, who are preparing for these things. Even if the conspiracy theories are complete control garbage about some Nazi Illuminati, as long as they're prepping and preparing to fight the government, that's a good thing. And this is what I said earlier. Even if everything ties into some establishment, we can still make use of that in one way or another.
I agree with that there. It's all just fucking labels and name games at the end. The Abrahamic White Lodge elite, they fucking label us, oh, you're satanic, you're Luciferian, you're devil worshippers and everything like that. Well, if being in alignment with fucking natural law and having guns and being self-sufficient and off the grid and not needing shit from the government or not needing a master to take care of you is fucking satanic, then I'm all for that. Hail Satan, I'm all for that kind of Satanism. But it's all just fucking name games at the end. There's really two kinds of people in the world. There's the master-slave type of people. There are people who want to control others, who want to be controlled. And then there's people who just want to be free and want to be left the fuck alone. There are statists, and then there are people who want to be left alone, who don't need any of that bullshit. Before you go here, let me review your questions here. You had a critique of capitalism, economic success. Things could be better off, but you can be happy with what you have. Go ahead and fire away about that.
Okay, about capitalism. So, I'm very critical of capitalism. I think it's bullshit that, like, if people are starving, if people are homeless or they're super in debt, and people just make shit wages, and basically people are really bad positions economically, society has the resources to make things better. And when some libertarians, some neoliberal, whatever, come and give these economic arguments, oh, but that's going to cause inflation, and we can't do that, economics doesn't work that way. Fuck that, okay? Maybe capitalism, in details, if you're going to respect it, may pose some problems, but if we have the resources to give everyone a house, which we do, especially in America. In America, there are more houses than people living in houses. Like, there is an abundance of property. I think this is not the case in Sweden, but overall, we can give everyone some sort of home.
Yep.
We can do that. Capitalism is not something to worship. We can organize society however we want. And I'm not even advocating communism. I'm advocating national socialism. I'm advocating fascism. If we have food, that will be enough to everyone. Fucking make sure everyone gets food, okay? Don't make some bullshit economic arguments, okay? Here we have the state at the top, and below them you have the people. The state serves the people. This should be natural law, if it isn't already. The people have the capitalists, who are influential and manage society. And the state says to capitalists, we want everyone to fucking have a home, to have a job, to have food on their tables. And you make sure that they do, or else we'll fucking anally rape you to death. Excuse my French. And then the capitalists make sure that. This is basic National Socialism best economics. Basically, the state just tells the rich, the influential, suck my dick and make sure that people have what they need, what I want this nation to have, because we do have the resources for that, we could have that, and then they make sure that that happens. What we have today is an infinite, endless argument about economics that never ends. We have so many problems in society. Like, you know, people are way enslaved in debt for life. So many people are homeless, unemployed, like people are living on the streets. We could be without that. And also, we have this bullshit about inflation and money and debt. This is because you probably already know this. Most people listening, I think, already know this. The banks print money and they work like a private corporation. And then the government has to borrow that money, and then they use that, and then they have to pay debt to the banks, and they have to pay interest. So it's a never-ending growth of debt.
Never-ending cycle.
The government could, I think this is what they did in National Socialist Germany, they could just print their own money, and then directly use that money to pay for whatever. And then if inflation becomes a problem, they'll just raise some taxes in order to keep it down. But ultimately, the government just says to the economy, it can do this. It can take control of the economy and just say, do this, give us this money, so we can make sure that this happens, okay?
Yep.
And even speaking of this is sort of something we got into earlier about slave morality. People are fishing after economic well-being. Either they're just playing along with the system, or they just completely cucked mentally and think like, yeah, the American dream, whatever, having a house, TV, being in debt for life, having a supposedly good job, this is like some goal of life. Like, we are beyond that. But anyone desires to have a roof above their heads, to have some food on their table. This is, of course, a minimum.
Yeah.
And anyone can get that and can get spiritual satisfaction. This is what's important for us. We want spiritual satisfaction. We want this more than we want any material satisfaction. This is our kind. As long as we can get that, we should be happy. As long as we can pursue a spiritual path, we should be happy. So we don't get caught up in economic arguments. This is really all I can say about this. I had some much bigger rant about this in my head when I wrote that, but I think ultimately this is all I have to say about it.
Well, okay, here's something for you. We've never had real capitalism, I don't think, since the fucking 30s, 1933, when the trader Jew Woodrow Wilson sold us out to the fucking bankers. We have not had capitalism since. We've never had 20th century capitalism, and we certainly have never had 21st century capitalism. What we have is fucking corporatism, with big corporations are basically acting as the government, acting as the kings and queens and the deciders on who has shit and who doesn't have shit. Agreeing to, now yes, the purchasing power, the wages that people are working way too many hours for basically just to survive and not thrive. People are working way too much than they should be. I mean, in the 50s, I think one working class man, one father could work like 30 hours a week or something. He could work like 4 days a week and have enough money to have a house, a wife, kids, and 2 cars in the driveway. Like, the purchasing power has completely been stolen by inflation. Inflation is a hidden tax on the population. But raising the minimum wage or anything isn't going to do shit about it. The real problem is purchasing power. What we need to do is to mint our own money, constitutional money. The federal government needs to mint its own money, not the fucking Federal Reserve. It's nothing federal about it. It's completely international banking cartel bullshit. Or even make your own money, or start bartering. You know, I'll give you a skateboard if you build me a fucking table or something like that, or here's a bunch of chicken eggs or whatever like that if you work for an hour for me or something like that. That way you have some kind of semblance of value. You have some kind of something of physical value for the labor that you put in. What would a true capitalist society have? A true like free market, we couldn't even imagine. Okay, a true free market, a true capitalist society would be a society where the technology of Nikola Tesla was in everybody's home. Everyone had wireless electricity. Or a true capitalist society would be anti-gravitic technology. A true capitalist society, a free market, would be a world where you have levitating cars. A world where you don't even need roads anymore. Where you do not have vehicles stuck to the ground. You have, instead of cars, you have levitating cars or aircraft in your driveway. Free energy. Man, you know what the Jews did to Nikola Tesla? They fucking order-following scum. The police who took their orders from J.P. Morgan case, they burned down his lab, stole all of his fucking patents, burned down his laboratory, and Tesla ended up dying poor and in a ditch, homeless. What the Jews did to Tesla was absolutely fucking unforgivable, horrible. I don't think we ever had real capitalism. I think if you had capitalism, real capitalism, it'd blow your mind. We'd have free energy, wireless everything. Instead of these power lines, it'd be Tesla towers, Tesla coil towers. There, wireless electricity. The possibilities are fucking endless. Or Michael Tessarian did a really good example. Picture, instead of going to a dealership to buy a car, what if it was a car, but a car that you designed? It was your car, like you built it. Or say you needed like a special lawn equipment or a lawnmower, like you build a machine. You go to get a lawnmower, but it's your lawnmower that you designed yourself. Or your weed whacker or your chainsaw that you customized and built yourself. Or a car or a motorcycle that you drew it on a piece of paper and they make it for you. It's your motorcycle. It's your car. It's completely individual and differentiated from everyone else. Or rather than fucking going to the store and buy clothes, you just have a 3D printer and you 3D print a shirt or whatever the fuck. Or if you want to wear armor or wear like dragon scales or something, you just press a button and it 3D prints and it just makes whatever. Where everyone, like this completely blows materialism and money out of the fucking door, because there's no need for department stores or fucking clothing stores or any kind of stores now, because if you need something, you just press a button and a 3D printer just bakes whatever part or material or fabric or object, whatever the fuck you need or want. You just draw it, you put it in the computer, press a couple of keys, and it's fucking printed for you. 3D, or this like thing about like programmable matter, where you don't even need like a 3D printer anymore. Like matter, this material will just mold to whatever your mind tells it to. You see, this is what I want to see. This is what I see: the Homo profundus, man who has made contact with the void, man who has mined the void, not to exploit it, not to exploit or mine the void, you know, like a resource or anything, but man who has been touched and blessed by the void. I think some of that like programmable matter and stuff like that, like the nanites, comes from the void. There's whatever the fuck we need. This completely blows materialism or material existence out of the fucking water, because man has gone so fucking evolved that he is beyond all physical concerns, all physical needs. And this is something that only capitalism, that only a free market can do. The problem is that we never had capitalism. We never had a true free market that allows free energy, that entertains the idea of programmable matter, or like 3D printing all our necessities instead of having to go to a store to buy things. So a really bright future is ahead of us if we embrace freedom, if we embrace free market values, natural law, freedom. I want to see the Homo Galacticus, and hell, maybe even we might be able to achieve the Homo Profundus, or the Void Man, or something even greater than that.
This is impressive. This is something, well, I've heard about this before. Some people talk about the Venus project, which sounds similar. The idea that we will just technologically advance so much that we won't need any, we don't need to work for anything, we can just have whatever we want. Thing is, to be pedantic, like I've been before, this is not capitalism. What you describe now is definitely not capitalism, and I doubt it would technically come through capitalism, because capitalism is based on market economy, private property, and having basically bosses that employ wage labor to make a profit. Thing is, if everyone just becomes completely self-sufficient, like you describe, everyone can just get what they want through 3D printers. Who would profit from that? No one would profit from that. You won't make capital from that. Yes, it would be good for all of humanity in the end, but directly, if you're making a business, working for that won't really, it won't earn you money. It can, I mean, you can sell the 3D printer, but then they have that. They're self-sufficient. They don't need to buy anything more. So,
Yeah.
technically, I think that's not capitalism. That's really bad for capitalism. That's how capitalism ends. It is defeated through technology.
Yeah, well,
I do.
J.P. Morgan Chase, I think it was Tesla's one who invented an electric car, a car that doesn't completely self-recharge 100%, but it recharges some of the energy or a good portion of the energy it expends while driving. So it's attached to a generator, so it does generate power while it's functioning. And you know what the fucking hook those said? Oh, we can't put a meter on that, so we don't want anything to do with it. And the same motherfuckers that burned Tesla's lab, that made him die homeless, penniless, these same motherfuckers, they don't want us to evolve. What it's really all about at the end of the day is the solution is not political, it's not economical, it's spiritual, it's consciousness. The solution is consciousness. It has never been political, it has never been materialistic, it's always been a consciousness solution. We just got to get on fucking enough people on board, a critical mass. Mark Passio thinks it's 51%. I don't even think it's 51%. I think it's if you even get 25% or you get 20% or 10% on board, their actions will overpower and exponentially multiply over the actions of all the other idiots out there who just want to stay retarded. And a critical mass certainly is needed. I don't think it is as much as Mark Passio says that it has to fucking be. It's enough to where we detach and create our own spiritual fucking civilization.
Well, overall, I share your sentiment, I do. But just to be pedantic, I do not think that this is capitalism, because actually, your phone, you could have a phone that will last your entire life, and it can be complete great quality. But you will not have this unless you buy a Nokia, but who owns the Nokia anymore? iPhone, like Apple, they will make an iPhone that will last, I guess, a year or something like that, and then it breaks. And that's on purpose, because then next year you buy their new phone.
That's called planned obsolescence, where a product has only a limited shelf life, and then it fucking breaks on quote-unquote accident, so you have to get a new one. There's a good documentary on it called The Light Bulb Conspiracy, where a man was printed, and his printer broke, or he got an error message saying there was something wrong with it. He took it apart, there was nothing wrong with it. The printer was completely fine. There's a fucking microchip in there that stops your printer after 10,000 pages. It forces you to get it to buy. It stops itself, so you are forced to buy a new fucking printer. Now.
Yeah, and they will do this with everything, truly self-sufficient. Real capitalism will do absolutely everything in its power to hold you back from true self-sufficiency. Because if you're truly self-sufficient, then capitalism is over. You're not buying anymore. You're not spending any more money. So that will be the absolute last thing that they allow. It can happen, but it will be the absolute last thing that capitalism tolerates.
Well, I think about that is the capitalism that you're describing is crony capitalism. It's egregious, profit-based. You see, it wouldn't be just capitalism, it's socialism, any fucking system, because of the human condition. You add man to the equation, that's how, and you fuck everything up. basically.
Well,
What the problem is not capitalism or any of these fucking isms, is that they're putting profit first, or they're putting government first, or they're putting a small group of people, they're putting themselves first, rather than trying to help out their fellow man. It's just a tool, really. If capitalism was used in the proper context, rather than putting the dollar amount and getting capita first, it would take itself out very quickly. Because look at the fucking things that the greatest things that capitalism has given us, like a certain brand of cutlery that is guaranteed forever, that you can get unlimited sharpening on. You break it, your grandkids can get it sharpened, or fucking like a car that lasts 50 years, that lasts 100 years. There's not a lot of money in that. There's not a lot of money in that, and that's a problem. But if we were to just fucking, instead of looking at fear-based, are my needs are going to be met, are my needs going to be met, are my needs going to be met, rather than focus on just myself or getting as rich as fucking possible, we were to make better quality things that last 100 years or last like 400 years, then yeah, that's not economical. But that's not the point. Economics are not the point. Man is a spiritual creature, not an economic creature. It was Oswald Mosley, or one of the fascists, he said that fascism is the idea that man is a spiritual creature, not an economic creature. We make good things that last forever, good things that last almost forever. Then yeah, we're gonna meet our needs very early and very quickly on, and then capitalism will outdo itself. It'll take itself out because it won't be needed anymore. It's just a phase, because right now we got to get to the point. What civilization done there is it took man out of the jungle, rather than running around naked, constantly wet, starving, wondering where his next fucking meal is going to come from. What it's done is it's given us an opportunity to develop the art, to develop culture, to develop higher reasoning, higher ability to think, higher reasoning, higher brain function, artistic, music, paintings. It gave us free time, basically. And we're still in the early phases of civilization. And it just didn't just come out of nowhere either. It was gifted to us by the gods, whether you see them as archetypes, forces of nature, extraterrestrial theory. I don't have to see them as extraterrestrial theory, but ultimately it was a gift. It was an opportunity. Hey, you got potential in. Here's this thing called civilization. Here's a way that you can raise yourselves up to our level. Do not abuse it, because there are fail-safes built within it. If you abuse it or try to enslave others, it will turn against you. And I believe these are the same forces that created natural law, that gave us natural law. If we abuse it, civilization, it will be taken from us violently. That's what happened to Atlantis. That's what happened to the previous civilization, is man had damn near unlimited power. Unlimited fucking power, and they became unbelievably corrupt and unbelievably immoral and violent. And they took themselves out. We're still new, this second round, on round 2, or round 3, or however many fucking rounds we've been through before. This current round, we're still in the early phase of civilization. We're still in between. See, we're civilized enough where we have free time, and most people are misusing their free time. They're watching sports or video games or football, or stupid, uncultured uncultured movies that have no fucking real intelligence, that have no real lessons within them. So we're just civilized enough where we have some free time, but I think we're like fucking like 3 or 4 meals away from going back to the jungle, going back to being completely bestial and completely amoral and completely animalistic. So we're just right on the cusp of civilization. We're not even the mediary. If we were in the mediary, we would be stronger off. Our needs would be met. We'd be stocked up, and we'd be able to go through some trying times. But ultimately, I think what the purpose is there, it's not about capitalism. It's not about fascism. It's not about any of these fucking isms. It's about bringing the common man up. It's about bringing ourselves and our fellow men up to a certain critical mass. And when we hit this critical mass anymore, there won't be the need for money. There won't be the need for currency or material money, because our needs will be met. There won't be a need for government. There won't be a need for these isms. Once we get a critical mass, that is when we'll start going in the direction of the gods, going in the direction of the Homo Galacticus. We have a interstellar, possibly intergalactic civilization. And once we hit that fucking level, we'll have new challenges and new things, but we won't have to worry about going back to being a beast, going back to the jungle there. And then we can focus on becoming a Homo profundus, or manifesting the void man.
The problem is, we are an axiom. So we're basically 3 people, if you count Joseph, are an axiom. And we can focus on ourselves evolving like that. But the problem is that you can't change human nature. You can't really change the way people are. There are always going to be a few minorities, like this certain brand who makes knives that are very good, far better than anything you can buy at Walmart. There's always going to be a minority who are doing that. But they're not going to be the mass production favored in capitalism until, well, they can eventually become, because humans want that ultimately. Humans want knives that will hold on forever. Eventually, we're going to win, but it's an uphill battle with capitalism. And you're saying the isms, they're second priority. The first priority is what humans are like. But this is not really a priority we can deal with too much. Because humans are how they are, and like you said, we failed Atlantis. Atlantis failed. It was so developed, and human nature just failed that. How can you expect to change human nature at this really low development, that it's gonna work this time? Something needs to be done fundamentally differently, since we are simply not suited for doing Atlantis, apparently. Our nature made us fail that. We have to fundamentally change something that's gonna work. We can't just hope that this time it's gonna work, we're gonna change ourselves. Yes, it's a very beautiful prospect for the futures you're describing there. We can't expect human nature to completely change. We can only expect our own nature. We are small Nexion, the Nexions around the world. We can change, we can do something. And the entrepreneurs, the people around the world, the people doing this little knife company, for example, like the Nikola Teslas, they can also do something. But the masses of people, like the general human nature, will be what it is. We can't really change that. I don't want to be a pessimist, but I needed to say that.
The only human nature is the programmability of man. Man is a conduit for power and psychic energy. The question is what kind of energy? Freedom energy or bullshit energy? Man had damn near unlimited fucking power, unchallenged, and he stagnated and became corrupt. But now that there's different systems and initiations and grades in place, or magic just isn't freely fucking given to you, you have to earn it, you have to work for it. there's no guarantee that it's going to be different. There's no guarantee that there isn't going to be a second fall. There's no guarantee of that. In fact, we probably are headed to a second fall, but not because of magic, but because of rampant technology. And not just technology, but the misuse of technology, technology going in the wrong direction. Artificial intelligence, a world full of cameras, a world full of Big Brother watching your every fucking move and everything. So there's nothing is ever guaranteed for this, but we sure as fuck, we gotta try. We sure as hell gotta try to create a future for our kids and grandkids and leave something behind. But once we get to a critical mass like the Homo galacticus, once we're at a certain level, we're going to be fine.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the connection broke off, it seems. But yeah, I was saying that we can do what we can do as individuals and small groups, as some small company that you might be working for, that makes very high quality products that will last for a long time, and as small spiritual groups like the Nexium, which you are a part of. That's what we can do. That's what I hope to get to after this call, to discuss it.
Okay. Wow. Anything else you would like to add? Fucking great conversation so far. Anything else, any last questions you'd like to add before I end the recording?
Okay, let me see. I am out far in the woods. It's the night right now. I'm hiding in shelter. Thankfully it's not raining. This is a very appropriate place to be. This is where I like being the most, maybe. Unrelated to any topics we're discussing, of course. So I just need to unlock my phone. Okay. Well, what do I want to say? Yes, I think I was getting to this with my last sentence here. What is our ultimate goal? I think you've been describing it a lot now. But, very broadly, what is our goal? Our goal as individuals, our goal as an Nexium, our goal with the people listening to this. What are our goals to try to do and achieve with what we're doing? How would you summarize that? How would you put that in small points, in sentences?
The true Luciferian Numinous Lodge will not stop, will not end till everyone is free. Everyone is free. And that's a huge uphill battle because not everyone wants freedom. Some people are content with their slavery. They want to be retarded and everything. But that's what we have to do. Or, till we achieve Homo Galacticus in the direction and the trajectory of Homo Profundus, whatever happens first. But the Homo Galacticus is really dependent on Earth being free. From the White Lodge, from the Jewish fake-ass black lodges, the fake left lodges. They're not really dark lodges or left lodges. They're just the dark side of Abrahamism.
Oh yes. Have we? Sorry, this is unrelated. I can't understand why we would have forgotten this. So we talked about this in an earlier video about exposing people like the Temple of Blood. Have we done this before? Have we addressed this before?
Temple of
This is
Blood.
important.
Yeah, Temple of Blood
Yes.
are a bunch of fucking clowns there. So,
Yes. Okay.
so the Temple of Blood there, if you, anybody who don't know, I'm going to spare you the details. Well, I'm going to spare you all the fucking nitty-gritty things. Just go read Iron Gates. There's a lot of child abuse. There's pedophilia. One of the fucking like commanding officers of the cult, he has like a child marriage, like Muslim marriage of like an 8-year-old girl, and he like rapes her in front of this rock thing or whatever called Gobni or something. And there's a bunch of like MK Ultra and just child torture and child abuse, and this is their vision of how the world should be. The Temple of Blood want to create hell on earth, where exactly as described, the world is just iron gates from pole to pole.
Yes.
And they're very, very related to the Hare Krishna movement, but in the wrong way. And the reason why they're so extreme and so for like child abuse and everything is they essentially believe that Krishna is the void and that Krishna enjoys everything. Krishna enjoys pedophilia, that Krishna enjoys... I'm not saying that Krishna actually enjoys those things, but they say that Krishna enjoys rape, Krishna enjoys being raped, that Krishna enjoys being ripped apart and tortured and MK Ultra and everything. So this is what they use to justify their sadism and abuse of children and everything. But the Temple of Blood there, Joshua Sutter, he was also in Atomic Waffles. He might have ties to North Korean government. And that explains everything, why there's radical and pro-pedophilia and child abuse. All governments are evil. All governments abuse children and everything like that. But communist governments like Russia, the USSR, North Korea, communism in China, communism in Cambodia, they especially, these communist countries, abuse and traffic children completely unchallenged. So that explains a lot of things too, why they're very heavy on the child abuse propaganda in Iron Gates and Bluebird, which are their horror novels, science fiction quote-unquote novels, but if they got away with it and they were allowed to run rampant, that is the world that they would build.
Oh yes. To summarize this point, the Temple of Blood is loosely based on the Order of Nine Angles. They do break...
They're not really the Order of Nine Angles, they're the Order of Nine Angles written in crayon, essentially.
They are not the Order of Nine Angles, but they're based on them, sort of. They do break certain rules that the Order has, such as harming children and not working with Hebrew demons. The Temple of Blood is a perfect example of how governments will use absolutely anything to further their power. North Korea will promote Satanists to further their own power. This is a perfect example of that. They do not promote personal self-development. They only promote sadism and violence. Only that aspect. They do not promote actual emotional conscious development like the O9A. And this can be seen in something I would have said in private to Goti, that they promote insight roles. They do not promote insight roles as they are supposed to be done, as
developing as an alchemical clashing. Basically, you become something that you completely hate. So I'm very, very right-wing. I hate communism. I hate leftism. I hate liberals. I hate Antifa. I can't fucking stand liberalism and leftism. So a good insight role for me is to become a radical leftist for, say, a minimum of 6 months. But if you can go more than 6 months, there's no limit to how long you can do it. You can go for a year, 2 years, but ultimately the point is you want to get to a point in the role where you almost believe it. You convinced yourself at a soul level, I love this shit. I love communism now. I could be a communist, I could be a Democrat, communist, Antifa for the rest of your life. And the challenge is what separates the people, the true adepts from the sheep, is that the adepts are able to pull themselves out of that insight role while retaining their satanic core, their satanic identity. Another idea for an insight role would be a radical leftist Antifa to become a far-right Nazi for 6 months, and that would not be limited to getting Nazi tattoos, right-wing tattoos, and hanging out with like the Aryan Brotherhood in prison for like 6 months until he's so brainwashed he almost adopts Nazism. But a true adept would be able, this is not who I am, and they'd pull themselves from the role while retaining their satanic leftist Antifa core. The reason it's not for infiltration, you're not going into church, you're not infiltrating the church, you're not infiltrating these groups to bring them to change the direction, you're infiltrating yourself. If anything's getting infiltrated, you're infiltrating yourself. And this clash of opposites, this could be like another insight role is someone who's very comfortable, who has a job and they have a house and they eat like fast food all the time, and they play their Xbox and PlayStation. Another insight role would be like an anarcho-primitist. So give up the money, give up the easy food, the easy meals, give up the creature comforts, give up the bed, give up the Xbox, give up the house, and be like homeless, living in the woods, living with a bunch of hippies that drop acid and smoke weed. It doesn't have to be drugs, but this is just an example. Like being an anarcho-primitivist, like literally living barefoot, walking in the woods, hunter-gathering, killing your meals with a spear, throwing wooden spears at squirrels and eating squirrels by a campfire. That would be very challenging. That's another idea for an insight role. So it's not about infiltrating. Once you experience these roles, the purpose is to infiltrate yourself. And this rapid depersonalization, what it does is it makes you more elastic, that you can adapt to any kind of situation. So when you get to a certain point and after you had like maybe 3 or 4 roles, you realize that I am nothing and I'm everything. I am communist, I am Nazi, I am anarchist, I am all these things. I am like the void, completely shape-shifting. I can shape-shift to anything. And once you get to that point, then you can start infiltrating groups. Then you can start like infiltrating churches or Christian identity or far-right groups or far-left groups or any kind of extremist group to direct them towards more aeonic agendas and make them do more aeonic shit instead of just mundane, move the furniture around, higher wage, or let's pogrom the cashews or whatever, this group of people or that group of people or whatever the fuck. Small-ass political, and make them and to steer them into more aeonic work. But the insight role is not about infiltration. It's about infiltrating yourself, first and foremost. Challenging yourself. That clash of opposites, it creates an alchemical inner turmoil that creates drastic change. It is dangerous because you can lose yourself. You are depersonalizing yourself. You can lose your identity. You can very much be absorbed into whatever cult that you're doing your insight role. You can very much become a communist very easily. You can very much be absorbed into the Nazis very easily. You can very much become a permanent anarcho-primitivist. It's very dangerous. But if you succeed and you rip yourself out of it and you still have your inner core identity, you're going to be that much stronger. You're going to be that much more adept. And ultimately, the reason why you want to kind of do these sorts of things, these sorts of roles there, this insight work, is you're creating a new type of man that can survive in any condition. Say, that we lose the battle and the New World Order wins and the communists win. You'll be able to infiltrate, you'll be able to live in a communist regime and probably get very high up. You'll probably get very high up in it. You'll be able to survive. So we're trying to create a sort of immunity against a global socialist or global communist or global fascist dictatorship, that no matter what happens, there's a group of people, no matter what happens, any kind of asshole dictator or whatever is in charge, it won't be able to touch them, because they're that chaotic and that void, touched by the void. They're that much of a shapeshifter that no matter what happens, it won't touch them. It won't harm them the same way it will harm a normie who's completely comfortable and static.
I guess you summarized quite well and had a lot of your own thoughts. What I was going to say is, yes, a real insight role is, well, your own personal self-development. The Temple of Blood clearly shows that they do not believe in this. If you read the literature, which I recommend you do not read their literature, do not pay money for that, and it will not bring you anything valuable. But reading their literature, it is obvious they do not believe in these for personal self-development. They have taken a certain aspects, because there have been Einers who have done insight roles, and some of them have involved extremism, of course. This is going to the extreme, getting out of your comfort zone. Among other things, practicing Nazism and Islamic extremism. And they have getting focused on that, and they only want to infiltrate these groups, push their own idea, masked as these ideologies, and try to promote extremism in society. That's their end goal. They want to join subcultures or religious or political groups just to promote their own ideologies, and they want to make these seem like their own. And this is why they fail. 1, it's pretty stupid. 2, it doesn't bring about self-development. 3, it's so obvious. I am a Niner. I have gone through several insight roles, and I can see from a mile away if a Temple of Blood supporter would do an insight role, so to say, because it's very obvious from the way they behave and their rhetoric and what they do, what they're doing. They will promote extremism, a certain mentality. It's hard to describe in words, but they're very recognizable, and I've seen people do insight roles and recognize very easily that they're doing it because of this. And they even tried infiltrating a group called Atomic Waffles and promoting insight roles within that and promote Satanism within it. And it's very obvious to see what they're doing. They got away with that. They completely infiltrated it, but I don't understand their point with that, because it was very obvious what they were doing. And they were very open about it and clear with what they thought. They did not change their personalities or their goals in any ways. They need to be destroyed. I hereby declare this. I hope that the rest of the next year can get behind me on this. But I will say it. I will take charge today. We and the third person, possibly more people, but mostly me and Goatee, we are the Nexian defenders of the darkness. I will make this no secret. We formally declare war on Temple of Blood. Yes, we are at war with you, and we demand your complete destruction. Because you have completely violated any kind of satanic honor, and you have brought massive disgrace and insult upon our kindred honor.
There's no sinister honor. You see, they're running on the same fucking garbage and the same shit that's controlling the Abrahamics, that's controlling Yahweh, that's controlling the Demiurge. I'm not going to get too deep in it now, but there are things out there that are worse than Satan. You think Satan is not a friendly guy, or you think Satan is an asshole. You don't know what the fuck's out there. You don't know what's out there. Read the Necronomicon. There are things out there. And demons like Pazuzu, Satan, Belial, they are gatekeepers. They stand at the corners of this universe, keeping the real demons, the real fucking things that are their sole intent is to devour and fuck everybody up from entering this reality field. I think that the Abrahamics are controlled by these fucking Shoggoths and fucking shit that they're in the Necronomicon. That even the ancient ones, they deny them. They're like, they are not of us. And there's no pact making with them. You don't make any pacts. You cannot make any Faustian agreements with them. You cannot summon them in ritual and gain anything from them. You cannot have any interface with them. They are just there to fuck you up and nothing else. Fuck you up, get into this reality, and devour, devour, and devour. The best analogy for it is it's cancer. It's pure cancer. Would you ever make an agreement with cancer? Would you ever try to do a path working with cancer? No, you wouldn't. So you think Satan and demons are assholes? The big guy with horns and a tail, he's the reason for all the world's problems. No, asshole. You don't know what the fuck's out there. You don't know what's out there. There are things out there that are so much worse than Satan, that are so much worse than the demons, that are so much worse than it. And this whole bullshit about evil without limits, this path, this flight of the locust bullshit is the same kind of dark, raw, unbridled, dark sorcery that brought down Atlantis. This evil without limits garbage, flight of the locust, fucking evil without limits. It's the true evil. I'm not going to name it or give it or name any of its names. It's that shit trying to get into this reality field. And the Temple of Blood and a few other small black lodges, they have managed to make contact with those truly alien and truly evil intelligences that just, they don't want anything. They don't want any elevation. They just want to fuck everything up. They even want to fuck up the demons and fuck themselves up, too.
Yes, it's very interesting that you brought this up. I do doubt you a little bit about this. I do doubt that, for example, the Temple of Blood are so competent that they are in contact with these powers. But this is just my opinion.
I don't think they've made contact with them, but these things have been trying to get into this reality field for like millions of years, and the Temple of Blood are definitely being influenced by it.
At very least, that's my thoughts on it. I think they are way too incompetent to actually view them as some sort of tool of some great, enormous force that's greater than our demons in this world.
They're not greater than the demon. It's not greater than the. It's not greater than the demons. Let me give you an analogy that Whalen gave. So basically, our universe is structured like a building. It's structured like a tower there, and these demons, they are the windows. They're the glass windows and doors in a picture, trying to keep smoke from entering the building. It's very difficult to do. It's a lot more difficult than to just talk about it. It's a lot more difficult in action. And these things, they're, nobody's perfect. Even our gods, they have their own challenges and stuff like that. But eventuality, these things are working their way into, and their favorite target are easily manipulated people. This is where you get the most vile and most like human evil, like torture of animals, animal abuse, torture of children, child trafficking. John Podesta, even like look at John Podesta's fucking art on like Google. What the fucking shit that he has in his home. They're like, he's definitely under the influence of these fucking truly outworld entities that are truly alien, they're not of Satan, they're not of the ancients, they're more ancient than that. And basically, Midgard's just a fucking battleground. You have a bunch of different stellar races and things that are basically battling for control that they want. Each one wants to act out their own agenda. You have cosmic and acosmic. You have alien agendas. You have outworld agendas that want to fuck everybody up. Here, but ultimately, everything's converging on Midgard, on Earthrealm, on this. Everything, all the shit goes down, happens here. And this is what's so crazy about it, why you can have, fucking, on one part of the world, it's very civilized, it's almost like a heaven in like religious books, but in another part of the world, or just down a couple blocks, it's completely like, worse than Hieronymus Bosch, Dante's Inferno, total fucking ninth circle of hell, diarrhea, shit in the streets. Even children addicted to drugs and whatever. It's because you have all these different fucking forces, different fucking agendas, and different fucking astral planes and spiritual currents and fucking just spiritual shit, just bombarding this earth at once. So there are people that say that this is hell, that hell is earth. There are people who say that heaven is a place on earth. There are people that will say that earth is meaningless. It's pointless. We have to create meaning. We have to elevate it to meaning. I say they're all correct, because you have all these different worlds and these different... because there's different universes too. There are different universes that are fucking colliding into this reality plane. And man is a stargate. It's what man's soul is connected to. And why these Jews and these communists are such assholes is because their soul is connected to a universe of total slavery and total filth and degradation, and that is the current that they are bringing to this reality field. While the Satanists, the true Luciferian and the true Satanists in the uppercase S, Satan, or Satya, meaning eternal truth, the true Satyanists, they're connected to a fascist universe where people are free, they're elevated, creating from thought, creation from thought. A lot of them probably have anti-matter, anti-gravitic technology, very, very advanced. They are in the Homo Galacticus. They are what humanity could and should be. But man could possibly beat even that. And basically it's the battle of the worlds here. You know, we're bringing our fucking world, we're bringing our fucking reality and our fucking elevations to this plane, and the enemy has their elevations and their fucking garbage and their shit, their slavery and their world that they're trying to bring here. And everyone else who's not doing this fucking shit, all the normies, they're just the ships tossed by the waves at sea. They're just tossed by whatever. And if they're not doing what the fuck they're doing, then they're going to bring into this reality what the masters and controllers want them to bring in this reality, and what the program on the media and the TV, what it connects their souls to, is what their souls are going to bring in, are going to bring the fuck in. It's almost like Morpheus was saying in Neo. A lot of people are not ready to be unplugged from the Matrix. Until they are unplugged, they are still in the Matrix, and they are still acting in capacity of the Matrix, which meaning those of us fence-sitters out there who haven't picked a side, who are not in the White Lodge, they are not acting out the agenda. Well, they are acting out the agenda. They're not initiated into the enemy Abrahamic Lodge, and they're not in the Numinous Lodge. Well, guess what, asshole? you're still a part of the White Lodge, and whether you know it or not, you're still acting out the Abrahamic agenda, because that's what your soul is connected to. You have not reclaimed your sovereignty. You have not disconnected your soul from the enemy lodges. You have not disconnected your soul from the enemy God forms, from the Jehovahs and the Christian devils and the Christian Satans and the reverse Christian currents and the dark Jewish currents. You have not connected your soul to the numinous. You have not made connection with the absolute. You have not made connection with the void that spawned everything into existence. You have not made connection with the numinous. And therefore you're unnuminous. You're unholy. You're not whole. And that's where we get the word holy from, whole, meaning authentic. Your dross, your soul is connected to the controllers, and the controllers, their souls are connected to something much worse, much more infinitely retarded and infinitely fucking stupid. That just it can't evolve. It can't do anything but devour and devour. And when it runs out of food, it devours itself. It's the Ouroboros endlessly devouring itself. It's the cube eating itself, the tesseract. It cannot get past that certain level. That's what these fuckers are connected to. And then you motherfuckers, your souls are connected to them. You're connected to the controller class. So whether you know it or not, unconsciously, you're spreading communism. You're spreading collectivism. You're spreading their fucking agendas. If you are not actively cursing it, if you're not screaming in the forest at the top of your lungs, fuck you! Fuck the control. Fuck the manipulation. Bring death. I invoke the worthless one who is worthless to all those who would enslave their fellow man, who would enslave and enact these disgusting, off-world, archontic, Jehovian demiurge agendas that are worthless to the controller and master class. I will become the embodiment of that which cannot have a master, that which does not have a yoke, and cannot be controlled, and cannot be enslaved, becoming that first dragon, the void dragon, the black dragon of the void, which is the true devil and the true God. But no. You're afraid of that. Oh, Satan, he's got horns and a tail, and the reptilians, the reptilian agenda. You're afraid of anything that's got horns and a fucking tail. You've already been conquered. You've been defeated. You've been defeated by the White Lodge. And even the dark lodges that the White Lodge controls, they're going away. They're doing their reverse Christianity, their reverse Judaism agenda. They're, the Michael Aquinos and the Templar set in the military-industrial complex. They're furthering wars and destruction upon the earth. And you're doing nothing because you're afraid of the devil. You're afraid of Satan. Well, guess what, motherfucker? You're going to have to become that which is satanic. You're going to have to become that which is completely evil. I say you have to become more evil than these motherfuckers. This is where I get the term hyperdimensional hyper-Satanism, where you get to the point where you are more satanic than Satan itself. You become more evil and more satanic than the White Lodge and their Jewish Satanists and their reverse Christian cohorts, where these motherfuckers are eating children and torturing kids and stuff, Pizzagate, Podesta. You are more evil than that. You're making them run for their lives screaming. That's how evil you have to fucking get. You have to get more evil than the Podestas. I'm not saying go eat children or anything like that. I'm saying you have to make contact with the numinous, with the truly horrific and the truly alien and the truly abysmal and the truly fucking numinous there. But you don't want to do that. No, you God will fix everything. We're going to pray to Jesus. We're going to pray ourselves out of a new world order. We're going to pray ourselves out of a new world government. Or you're like the fucking Republican tards. Trump's going to save us, so we're going to vote. We're going to vote ourselves out of the new world order. Or you're a fucking dumbass New Age Wicca, love and light, angels. We're going to open up the stargates. It's all about the angels. The angels are going to come and fucking fix everything. You're fucking retarded. You have not, you know nothing. You are at zero. You have not begun to fucking self-actualize. You have not even fucking begun the fucking path. The true numinous path, the true numinous lodge that even the dragons are a member of. Even they are divinities. They're evolving. They're not perfect. There's no arrival point. They're still learning. They're growing every day, just like we have to fucking learn and fucking grow every day. Man, the mysteries of the void, the mysteries of the trident, the black fire that brought everything into existence. It's pure fucking consciousness. Even the old ones are terrified of it. It's infinitely deadlier than all the Shoggoths and the Oogaloos and all that crap in the Necronomicon. The old ones flee from it. There, but he who can contact this fucking fire will be purged and will act in accordance with this highest law, this highest fucking meta-consciousness, and bring forth the fucking aeonic cleansings and aeonic purges that must occur if man is to have fucking chance at freedom, a chance at... I mean, think about it. We didn't come here to be fucking slaves. We did not come here to be fucking victims here. We came here for meaning, to create meaning, and we came here to... We came here to reach our fucking potential. But no one's talking about that. No one wants to do it. No. Fucking watch Joel Osteen or fucking Bill O'Reilly or fucking or watch whatever the fuck on the fucking idiot tube. Or all these other millions of other brands of inauthentic. You know, I'm just gonna steampunk goth my way out of it, or fucking I'm just gonna punk. I'm gonna fucking Liberty Spikes or Mohawk my way out of this, or dye my hair a crazy color my way out of this. Oh, and I've changed the world. No, you fucking haven't changed shit.
Well, that was quite a rant. It was quite a little unexpected, I will say, but that was quite powerful. I will give you that. You went. By the way, is the connection all right? Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay. Okay, great. Because I know it broke off while you were talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a very, very powerful rant you had there. I can't really add anything to that. It was a bit too unexpected for that. But no, I can't really add anything to that.
It was a long time coming. I was gonna rant on a video sooner or later. But yes, meta-Satanism or hyper-Satanism, the idea where you become so satanic, you're more satanic than the devil himself. That is how evil we have to be. We have to outperform evil than the evil controllers, and then completely destroy them. Fucking, you know, if this was back in even 1,000 years ago, the degeneracy that's been allowed, and it's been allowed, because good men done fucking fuck all about it. Now, my ancestors, my Irish ancestors, they would have been throwing axes, heads and arms and legs would have been flying by now, if they were alive, with the amount of corruption, the amount of degeneracy, the pedophile protectors in the media and the government. If they were alive today, heads would be fucking flying.
Oh, true. Well, I think I tried to summarize my points. I don't think I got done with it. So, yeah, We are defenders of the darkness.
Defenders of the numinous.
Nexion 666.
In darkness, not in the sense of absence of light, but in the true black fire essence, the yawning abyss, the absolute. Black fire,
Darkness.
raw consciousness, the blackness that spawned all the colors and all the universes and all existence. It birthed all the gods and dark gods too.
In short, the darkness that is not a part of a binary.
It is zeroth in nature. It is zero. It is numinous. It is self-contained and self-nothing at the same time.
It is from which we spring, and that's why we are defending it. It is like defending our mother, our homeland.
And so many assholes
Yes,
have misrepresented Satan and misrepresented the void and misrepresented this shit. You have this two ass clowns. You have Anton LaVey saying it's just a symbol, it's just an allegory, and then you have other people. You have the Aquinos or whatever, or other like more theistic lodges that are using it as an excuse for evil, using it as an excuse for the military-industrial complex, or using it as an excuse. Well, I can harm children. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Or the Temple of Blood. Or even as extreme as the Temple of Blood, the rape and child abuse that goes on in Iron Gates. Oh, well, this is what the void's all about. It enjoys everything. It loves rape. It loves pedophilia. It loves torture. It loves being tortured. Oh, it doesn't matter. This child comes from the void, and this child's going to go back to the void anyway, so we're just giving the void what it wants. No, motherfucker. The void does not want that shit. The void is more elevated than that shit. Retard, you're people who do that, engage in that Flight of the Locust shit. They're just tapped into the lower astral. They're just intoxicated on the stinky breath and turds of the void. And unfortunately, yes, that the void is the source of numinous. It is a source of true elevation and consciousness. There is a dark side to it as well, and there is a shadow to it, but that shadow, that abyss, is not the real void. It is the lowercase void that you motherfuckers from that you left-wing motherfuckers you're plugged into. You're not plugged into the true uppercase void. You're not plugged into the absolute. You're drawing from the inferior void, from the abyss, which is the lower astral.
Can I just intervene with that? Okay, I sort of agree until you said it's some shadow aspect that isn't a real part.
Well,
no,
shadow.
No shadow of the void. No
there,
shadow of the void. Okay? There is no binary within it.
No duality, but all possibilities, eventuality that there is some lower imitation of it called. And that's the lower astral. That's the abyss. I said it wrong. It's not a shadow of the void. The absolute does not have a shadow. It just fucking is. However, there's some things out there that they imitate this absolute. They try to impersonate the absolute. Definitely, that's in very highest levels of Kabbalah, the dark feminine half of Jehovah, or Hawa, the feminine version, where you get the true Christian devil, the Christian Satan, or the Jewish Satan, from not the numinous absolute Satan, but the Abrahamic devil is female, is Hawa. And Hawa is basically the half of Yahweh that's still in this retarded, bestial, lower astral abyss that doesn't want to exist. And it's controlling Yahweh. That's why Yahweh is such a dick. Like, he's fucking blessing the Jews, and then next 5 minutes later, 10 plagues of Moses out the ass, giving endless plagues and endless curses, forcing them to wander the desert and all that shit. He can't make up his own mind. That's where Yahweh's schizophrenia comes from.
Well, okay, can we have one point in the Defenders of the Dark? All of this is beside the point. What I was trying to say, we Defenders of the Darks, and probably the people listening to this will agree to this. We know, it's very few people who do listen to this. Our goal can be summarized as this, in short. We are for the complete evolution of our members to a foreground, a foundation for a future Homo galacticus. We are completely opposed to any white lord
Excuse me.
preventing our birthright evolution. We are opposed to all false Black Lodge imposers, such as, but not limited to, the Temple of Blood, the Church of Satan, the Temple of Set, etc. We completely outright reject the binary that's been imposed by conventional religion, i.e. an opposition between darkness and light, shadows, high and low, etc. We aim to achieve our goals through participations in authentic pagan satanic Gentile paths, such as Sevenfold Way and True Immortality. Anything you want to add or change about that?
No, that just about covers it.
So this has been from us. This is us. This is what you need to know about us. And from there on, the stars are the only limits. Our goal is to work Aspera and Astra. Knock this out. Sixes.
Sixes.